Hi, I'm Clyde Kilough, and this is Verse by Verse. I can clearly remember once, years ago, standing for a long time in a hotel room, staring out the window at some nearby mountains, alternating between praying and pondering. It was a low point in my life, one of those times of having been thrust into a very difficult, ongoing situation where multiple problems were confronting me, but no solutions were in sight. These were not even problems of my own creating, but sometimes we are directly affected by the decisions other people make. These problems were already negatively impacting my life, and even in a best-case scenario, there were going to be some bad consequences. In a worst-case scenario, well, I didn't even want to think about it. In the midst of some difficult meetings and confrontations with other people involved, I skipped lunch and retreated to my room to try to gather my thoughts and calm my emotions. And there, staring out the window, seeing those mountains somehow brought to mind a hymn based on Psalm 121. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. From whence comes my help? Sometimes it's funny how our minds work. Some may say it's coincidence, but I saw it as inspiration. I believe that one way God was answering my pleas for help was by first reminding me, by seeing those hills, of the words of that hymn, which then reminded me where to fix my faith and hope. The next verse in Psalm 121 answers the question, from whence comes my help? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Now that psalm actually is not our verse for today, but it's closely related. And I thought of Psalm 121 when I read today's passage, Psalm 9, verses 9 through 10. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And those who know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. The word refuge in Hebrew literally means a high place. The word is translated in other verses as defense, high, tower, or fort. In the mind of David the psalmist, he was likening God to the height of the rocks, areas inaccessible to the enemy, a place to which he could flee in times of danger, a place of safety and security, a refuge. As I literally lifted my eyes to the hills that day, looking upon those mountains looming over the city, it reminded me, from whence comes my help? Now, David wasn't saying that God lives high up on the rock somewhere. He was reminding us that He is the rock. He is the refuge to which we can flee in times of trouble. Let's revisit verse 10. And those who know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. David did not say when, where, or how. He was just reassuring us that when you know God, that leads to trusting in Him, and that trust will be rewarded by God's promise to never forsake anyone who sincerely seeks to know and follow Him. Trust doesn't come easily. Trust doesn't come overnight. Trust comes over time and through relationships. Trust is built, but trust is very comforting. When I was in the depths of that trial, lifting my eyes and looking at those mountains reminded me that while I was having trouble trusting some of the humans around me, I could trust that God was in ultimate control and He could and would work things out. And He did. It wasn't that day, it wasn't the next, but eventually He provided answers and solutions to the problem at hand. God is a refuge in times of trouble. He is the one in whom we can come to know personally and come to trust will never forsake us.
Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.